serve.
Come on.
Right? You go out in the world and you tell someone you should be serving. What do? I don't serve nobody. Right? They give you that look. Listen what it is. And there are two general answers you're going to get. And you're going to get a yes and amen, or you're going to get a I don't serve nobody.
Yeah.
Right?
Come on.
Why is that? Why? Pride. Yes, precisely. So when King James had the Bible translated into English for the first time, he was considered, one, a heretic, and two, he changed a few words that are really important. Did you know that most of the time when it says be a servant of God or a servant of Christ, the original says be a slave? Right? Tell that to somebody. You should be a slave to Christ. What's the look you're going to get for that? Right? You're giving me that look already like, how dare you say that? I'm just picking. But if you think about it, you were bought.
Yeah, with the price. Yeah, come on.
You were bought. Jesus paid a price for you. Isn't that kind of the definition of a slave? You're bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Now, we get the opportunity to serve probably the greatest master there is.
Amen.
Right? Because being a servant and or slave back in Jesus' time was a little different than what we think of these days. A little different. And in the fact that it was in the laws that you had to take care of, feed and home your servants. Right? They weren't just kicked out into the mud like we think of today. No, they had to be cared for.
Yeah.
Every one of their needs had to be taken care of.
Right.
And so when Jesus came out and said, no, come and serve me, or come with me to serve, because let's be honest, he didn't say serve me, he said serve God.
Right.
He wasn't saying like the way we think of serving or being a slave these days. He was talking about, come with me, follow me, and you will be taken care of.
Amen.
You will have no more needs.
Amen.
You will have no more wants. Just come and do this work. And everything else will be taken care of. And that's something we really, really forget about these days, is that everything's taken care of. Everything's taken care of. You devote yourself to serve God,
Amen.
everything's taken care of.
Amen. That's for real.
Because that's the kind of, I don't really want to say master, but that's kind of the only word popping in my brain, master that God is.
Yeah.
Who else do you know that serves in the community? We have several in here, teachers, right? I think we only have one at the moment. But she serves her kids, right? When she goes, she serves the kids. And nobody thinks it's funny, right? She gets a level of respect from pretty much everyone who isn't an angry parent
Yeah.
because of what she does. A doctor serves his patients, and nobody looks at him crazy. People give them a level of respect. So what's the best way to earn respect from people? To serve. Look at that, already caught on back there. To serve them. To serve. Now, what does that mean to each and every person? It changes. Every situation is going to be a little different. Every person's needs are going to be a little different. Sometimes serving them is just simply listening to them. Not a lot of people understand what it is to listen to someone else these days. So that could be pivotal to someone. That could be just all they need is just someone to listen to them.
Yeah.
Not just hear, but listen. They're two different things. Now, you can hear someone go, want, all day long. But to listen to them is to truly care about it. And that's where God changes things up in us, right? because I'm getting way out of weirdness here, but that's okay. So, I'm throwing these in here. No, not yet. So, God said, come and love each other and serve them in love. Right? And there's a difference in I'm getting paid to serve you. I'm getting paid to bring you your food. I'm getting paid to bring you these things in a service-oriented occupation versus I'm doing this out of love. And two people are going to look at you. You're going to get twos. I'm lots of twos today. That's okay. People are going to look at you two kinds of ways. Like one, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Why would you get out of your car and pump your gas for your wife? Because she appreciates it. Because she likes it. She doesn't like to get her hands dirty, and I'm okay with that. I will do it for her. It's out of love. Or you'll get that, thank you, you'll get that deep appreciation and an understanding of what actually just happened. That connection that was built there. People are interesting creatures, and until we understand who we are, we always think everyone else who serves us is beneath us, right? You get those folks who walk in and act like they own the place and talk down to folks who are supposed to be serving them, who are supposed to be there to help them. And then you get the people who walk in who know who they are in God, because that's the only place that really matters. You can know who you are in your bank account, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But they know who they are in God, and they walk up with a different air of, how can I help you make things better? How can I make something better for you today? To even the kitchen staff at the restaurant. How many times do you compliment the chef when you go out? Anybody? Anybody? We appreciate it. Sometimes it's a little hard to get back there and actually talk to the chef or send a message, but it's an important thing to do because they're back there working. It's hot in the kitchen. I don't know if any of y'all have been back in the kitchen, but it's hot. Thank them. It'll make a difference. Next time you go to a hotel and someone offers to carry your bags, sure, they're getting paid to do it, but what do? You tip them. That's the standard thank you. You take a moment to talk to them. Most people just kind of ignore them. But take a moment and talk to them. Ask them their name. Get to know them a little bit. You'll see how things change just like that for that person. Though God doesn't ask you to come do big and mighty things. He wants you to do the little things. Because it's the little things that speak to people's hearts. It's the little things that we high and mighty folks tend to forget about. Right? I got so much going on today. I don't need to deal with all this other junk. But when someone takes a moment of their day, takes a moment and steps aside from all that other junk and into those little moments, that's what's going to speak to you. That's the part that's going to make you remember them more than someone just walking by. Can bring up the other thing here, so in Galatians 5:13 says, "For you, brethren, have been called to liberty. Only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another." Goes back to that servant's heart and serving in love. Is this the one I wanted? Yeah. And then Mark 10:44 and 45. "And whoever you desire to be first shall be slave of all." This one they didn't take out. It's still in there. slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, to give his life for a ransom for many. He was the ultimate servant, yes. Now, when we talk about serving someone, when we think of serving someone, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to you to be served? Anyone? No one? No one? What does it mean to you to be served? And yes, I'm picking on you, Tracy. And there are not a whole lot of folks here. You're real easy to come on. What does it mean to you to be served? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Give up a little bit of control, maybe? Yeah. You just danced all over the rest of my message. Thank you. No, you're great. You're great. When was the last time, or have you ever heard someone say, "How may I serve you today"? Anyone? You've heard it said? Okay. And the hospitality scene is where you usually see it, right? I love that word, hospitality. We call it an entire industry, hospitality. Why? Because they take care of us. They give us shelter. They give us food. They take care of our things. They clean us. Hospitality. Did you know the Bible says we should be hospitable? That whole line of work, that whole industry is biblical. It's what we should be doing all the time. Have you ever asked someone outside of a work-related incident, "How may I serve you"? I have a very interesting opportunity at work. I work for a gentleman named Mr. Pope. So I work for the Pope, for those of you that didn't know. And I remember when I transferred back down to Temple, because that's where he works. He's the manager there. And we were trying to figure out what it is I would be doing. My first question to him was, "How can I serve you?" And he looked at me funny. And it took him a while, and he said, "We'll come back to that." About 2 weeks later, he finally came back with an answer. And it wasn't necessarily what I was expecting, but it changed some things. Because at first it was just going to be, I just need help with these extra little things that need to be doing. Then it turned into, I have this big project over here that I need somebody I can trust to take care of, which has been good and bad. It's been an interesting experience. But you come in with that heart of a servant, and things are going to change. Now, you don't have to blatantly say, "How may I serve you?" Because most people are going to look at you funny anyway. Sometimes that's what you need to get through all the puffing stuff around people. "How may I serve you?" It's quick, it's direct, catches people off guard, makes them think. But that's not always the way you need to do things. Sometimes people need a little bit more subtlety weaved in because they be a little too prideful to take that, "Yes, I need a servant." No, not everybody understands that they need someone to serve and to be served by. It's an important relationship. You can't just receive all the serving, right? You can't just be the one who receives absolutely all the attention. You're missing a few steps there. It's important to do both.
Right.
And I find it very difficult to be served. It makes me uncomfortable not to do things. You hush, woman. My wife is an exception because she is absolutely amazing. And I will say that every day if I need to. But from a stranger, it's weird to be served, isn't it? Kind of catches you off guard. Don't really know what to do with yourself. You just kind of keep looking around like, okay, now what do I do? I need to be doing something. The world has us so programmed that we need to be doing something. We can't just receive sometimes. Sometimes that's what we need to do, is just receive. Watching our pastors has been an interesting thing because they're so used to serving. And then when we moved over here, for them to be served at the same time as they served is a new concept for them. And watching them grow in that and being willing to let go of a few things. We get it so much that we need to be doing something that we forget that we need to relax a little. It's okay for someone else to do the doing, from the little things to the big things. It's okay. You don't have to be in everything. It's okay to let someone else serve you. No idea where that one came from. That's okay. So I got a quote in here from someone you guys probably have never heard of, but he's important to a few things in my life. It's not someone I've ever met, but he has a lot of great quotes. If I can read his name off of here because it just went blank. General Bruce Clark, United States Army, retired. Yes, another Army guy. So something that he said, rank is given to enable you better to serve those above and below. It is not given for you to practice your idiosyncrasies. That's the reason I like the guy. He was really kicking things in the toes. You don't move up in any organization. In any organization, just to do what you think is right. You're there to accomplish a task, or multiples as they're laid out in front of you. You are there to serve and be served. Now, you don't only serve the people above you in the food chain, right? That's where everyone thinks, how can I make my manager's job easier? Well, if you're working around other people, you're serving them as well. How can I make their job easier? And if you change that, you take that approach, people are going to start to notice. Whether it's something you do kind of in the background off to yourself, nobody needs to know about it, but people are going to start noticing that their work is getting easier. They may not know why, they might not even care, but they will notice. If it's something bigger, then they will definitely notice. The point is not to be noticed. The point is to go out and go out and to serve. Sometimes you have to be noticed to serve someone. Sometimes you have to be all up in their face because they just don't get what you're trying to do. Let me help you. Right? People don't understand that concept sometimes. Some people forget that help is only a handshake away. That works both ways. Help is only a handshake away. For all of you, help is only a handshake away. Jesus is there, right? He's a little closer than a handshake, or at least he should be. You also have your brothers and sisters of the church body. Most of us aren't necessarily a handshake away, but we're a phone call away. And I promise, if you called up and said, hey, I need some help, most of us would hop in a car and come find you. May take us a little drive, but we'll get there. I'd like you to turn to 2 Corinthians 4. Chapter 4, verse 5. For we do not preach ourselves, but Christ Jesus the Lord, and ourselves your servants for Jesus' sake. Now, there's a couple of ways you can kind of think about this one. is you're serving other people to serve Jesus. Or you could think of it in a little bit outside the box fashion. You're Jesus' servant that he sent to serve others. Now, what does that mean? Why is that different than the other way? Well, if you're Jesus' servant, Jesus has got you taken care of, right? But if you're serving someone to serve Jesus, it's not wrong. You're just kind of missing the focus. You are a servant to Jesus, right? We all said, yes, Lord, come be a part of my life. Instantly made you Jesus' servant, whether you wanted to or not. Whether you understood it or not would be a better way to say it. And if you're Jesus' servant, who does Jesus serve? Everybody. Jesus serves everybody. And yes, I said it that way on purpose. Don't look at me funny. Jesus serves everybody. So, if we are Jesus' servant, who are we serving? Everybody, look at that. No, you're on point tonight. Maybe it's good not for them to not have youth all the time. I'm just kidding. Youth is important. So, if we look up and see how the world is changing around us, how no one wants to be a servant anymore. They even, so much to so that they changed the words in the Bible a little bit. They took out slave and made it servant. What are they going to make it next? Helper? Right? Are we God's helpers? Did God need help? Does Jesus need help?
Not really.
Not really. Not even close to a little bit. There's a huge difference between helper and servant. Even servant and slave.
Yeah.
Now, why are these words bad words? Why is slave a bad word? Well, because we ruined it. That one's pretty obvious. Why is servant a bad word? Because the world tells us, well, not necessarily. The world tells us, you go make your mark. You go out and do your thing. You don't need a boss. You don't need other people. Right? That's what the world wants you to think. Go out, do your thing, do what needs to be done or what you think needs to be done, and do it all yourself because you're strong. Strong, independent person. Right? That's what the world tells you you need to be. Anybody in here independent? Thank you for not jumping on that. Because you're not. You live alone, you're still not independent. Because you have backers. You have people who help take care of you. I can name 3 for all of you. God, Jesus, Holy Ghost. If you don't think they're there as your support, we can have an altar meeting a little bit later and get that fixed. No one is independent, nor should they be. No one is supposed to be independent. No one is supposed to be, what's the saying? No man is an island unto themselves. And works as no woman is an island unto themselves too, just for those who are thinking about it. We all need someone. We all need help. We all need to serve. We all need to be served. So let go of some things. It's okay to not be in control. It's okay to not be doing. Granted, there are times when you are called to do. Don't ignore those. Those are important. There's often times where I'm walking through work and I'm in a big hurry because I got something going on. Oh, I don't. And you get that, I need to go talk to that person. I don't know that person, but I need to go talk to that person. But I'm in a hurry. I'm going to be late for this meeting. Usually I go to the meeting, to be honest. Those are moments that need to change. It's okay to be late to a meeting. It's okay to step outside of your busyness and step towards what you need to step towards.
Yes, amen.
Because God's not going to send you to talk to somebody for no reason. That person's ready. Person needs to be served. In whatever form it comes, that person needs to be served in that moment. And you need to do. Sometimes it's harder to do when we don't know what's going on. Like, well, if I go over there, what am I going to say? What are we going to talk about? Do I just show up and hug them? I mean, and yes, that's been asked of me. Hey, just go give that person a hug. They're having a rough day. Okay, I can make that happen. It's a little awkward at first, but then they get it. Then they understand what's going on. Usually it's best to ask, hey, can I give you a hug? You look like you need it. They'll be a little bit more receptive than just walking up and hugging them. So, being a Christian is about love, right? And you know that walking in love and being a servant are the two most talked about topics in the Bible, other than money, because money definitely takes the cake. Now, why is it talked about so much as serving as it is as love in the Bible? You need one to do the other properly, right? You need to be in love to serve properly. But if you're not serving, you're not really showing that love that you're supposed to be working, right? So usually they're mentioned together. Serve in love, help in love, assist in love. There's a grand plethora of different ways the Bible breaks it down, but it's always serving. It always breaks down to serve in love. Be in love. And when someone says it more than once, usually enough to get our attention. When they say it over 50 times, we tend to ignore it. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, we heard that already. We heard that already. We heard that already. But they're saying it, they're repeating it for a reason. Most human brains learn by repetition. Right? You learn how to write by constantly writing each letter down. You learn by repetition. God is teaching you through repetition. Come, serve in love. These are the repetitious things that he tells us. And because it's so repetitious, we tend to ignore it. We tend to forget about it. We tend to, oh yeah, I know, God, I know. How many ever said that to God? I know, Lord, I know, God, I know. And then just walked about our own business anyway. Yep, guilty of that one too. If you tell someone that Jesus came to serve and not be served, they're excited, right? Hey, someone else is doing the serving. I don't have to. Why is it okay for Jesus to serve and not you, not me? If we're called to be Christ-like, right? That's Christian, Christ-like. Isn't that exactly what we're supposed to do? Serve. How many people get lost on a regular basis? Just in what you're thinking about or where to go from the next moment to moment. Do you know you have an answer? Got lots of them, actually. Now, I'm going to go a little nerd here on you for a second and talk about some video games. And yes, just hear me out. The story of most video games is that you are the hero of your story, right? You are the hero of your story. Did you know there's already a story written about you that you're the hero of?
Yeah, amen.
Did you know that? It's this one. Most people say this is about God and Jesus. You're not mentioned in here at all. Well, that's wrong. Your life is in this book. Every question you have, every situation that could arise is in this book. And what's the best part is, God gave you the freedom of choice, which means this is a choose your own adventure book. I don't know if any of y'all ever read those. Yeah? Yeah. Choose your own adventure. Hey, if I go do this bad thing, what's going to happen? Answer's right here. Hey, if I go do this thing, these are my choices. What's going to happen? It's laid out pretty clear. And when it's not clear, did you know you have the opportunity to talk to the author himself?
Yeah. Come on.
Hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain it, Holy Ghost? You have that opportunity. You have the opportunity to talk to the author of the book of your life when you get stuck. How many people take him up on that offer? I don't nearly as often as I should. Usually I look to my wife and she kicks me, says, go read the Bible. All right, it's not that blunt, but usually it's, have you prayed? It might as well be a kick. I love you, honey. But our whole lives are planned, and everything, every situation, every choice we can make, the next details of what can happen are written in the Bible. All you have to do is go look. Sometimes it takes a little digging to get to your specific situation, right? But it's in there. Now, do you need to ask what's going to happen if I speed? Probably not. That one should be a no-brainer. If you really need to, it's probably in there somewhere. But if you ever have any doubts, any questions, any concerns about where your life is going, look it up. Where's your life at right now? Look it up. Most of us, we're still in the beginning. We're still in Mark, right? We haven't even made it into the further books. We're still at the beginning. Some of us are still in Genesis, trying to figure out where the darkness comes from. But each step, each moment, each breath is in this book. And every time we have a question, we can look it up.
Amen.
And every time we don't understand it, because let's be fair, I don't speak ye and they and thous and thises and thuses. My brain doesn't really compute Old English. So I got to ask some questions sometimes. And it's okay to ask questions. So if God is our Abba Father, he's our daddy, how many parents in here don't want their children to ask them questions? How many people don't want them to ask why? Why do I got to go to school? Well, you get sick of explaining it for the 100th time, but you keep explaining it. God does the same thing with us. God, why do I need to go to church? God, why do I need to go to work? God, why? Why, God, why? It's not bad. It's not bad to ask why.
That's for real.
It's the heart why you're asking why. It's like, oh, why are you punishing me, God? No, God doesn't punish you. Wrong question. Just like, I can't say we don't punish our children because we do, but usually there's a reason behind it. It's correction. Yes.
Love.
It's correction and love. Now that I know better. Not everything in your life is easy for you to figure out on your own.
Come on.
Right?
That's for real.
I've been in places in my life where I have no idea what I'm doing. None whatsoever. And then it's like, okay, God, what's next? And before that it was, okay, honey, what are we doing now? And she would look at me with the same look of, I have no idea. And then we go pray about it.
Amen.
And something would get figured out. Whether we knew it got figured out or not is a whole different question. Sometimes you're not sitting still long enough to get the answer you need. It goes back to that listening point. Got to listen. These are not the direction my notes are talking about at all, but that's okay. It's okay. So if we're here to serve, and Jesus served all, and we are to serve all, and you were bought and paid for, is it a bad thing to be called a slave? Is it a bad thing to be called a servant? Is it a bad thing to ask someone, how can I serve you today? Anyone else besides Mary have any answers? I mean, you guys know I like feedback. I'm not asking questions for a reason here. It's okay to not understand what you're doing. It's okay. It's fully okay not to know where your next step is going to go. Right? Because if you serve, all that other stuff is taken care of. Right? We discussed God is an old school master, not what we think of these days. He takes care of his servants. In the Bible, it talks about Abraham having many servants. But to have many servants, you had to be rich.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculously so. Because you had to feed them. You had to house them. You had to take care of them. You had to oversee their weddings. And no, it wasn't, hey, you're going to marry this person. No, they figured it out themselves. You just had to provide for it. There's even one part of the Bible where it talks about the law, your slaves are released after 7 years, right? Your slave, he owes you money for whatever reason he did this thing, for whatever reason he became your slave. And he was only your slave for 7 years. That's biblical. Go look it up in the Old Testament. You still had to care for him those 7 years, right? My mind's drawn a blank on the gentleman who went and became a slave to someone to marry his daughter.
Oh, yeah, and then he married the wrong daughter, and then he went.
Then he got tricked, and then he became a slave for another 7 years to marry the other daughter.
Yes. To marry
Jacob. Thank you. So being a slave wasn't a bad thing, wasn't looked down upon. Sure, you were there to do some work. You were there to get some things done. You were there to accomplish a goal. It's okay to be a slave, as long as you know who you're a slave to. Don't let the world tell you you're a slave to the dollar, right? Don't let the world tell you you're a slave to your workplace. Don't let the world tell you you're a slave to fashion or whatever else it tells you you're supposed to be a slave to, right? As long as you understand who you serve, then you will begin to serve everyone with that same heart,
Amen.
with that same love. I'm sure your children already come up to you expecting a hug every day, don't they? Some of them do? Okay. See? Because they know who you serve. You're there to serve them and to be that love that they don't always get. Miss Sherry, I'm sure it's the same for you. People come up to you knowing you're going to help them out, whether it be at the coffee shop or with this realty thing, because they know you're going to help them out. You are there to serve them.
Amen.
And by doing so, you can share with them the love that flows through you. For our, I don't want to say stay-at-home wives, because you do so much more than that, both of you do. I can't really call it a homemaker either, because again, that just doesn't express enough of what you do. But for those who don't have a traditional job, you're still serving people, whether it be your family, whether it be schools you go assist at, whether it be the Thrive thing, you're helping people. You're serving them. I'll pull out my phone for this other one. So I found a neat little thing that kind of struck me as odd. It's a list of questions to ask every day. I like these lists, and you're going to see how these tie in real quickly. How can I serve my family today? Right? Doing these daily lets us know that one, it's not a one-time thing. You're not a servant just once. You're not there to serve someone for the immediacy. You're there to see things done. You're there to continually serve. Like if someone came to you and said, hey, help me find a house to buy, you're not going to point them to the yellow pages and say, there you go, where's my commission fee? You're going to walk them through the whole process, right? And probably check on them after everything's done. That's how you serve. That's that extra level of not just doing your job, but actual serving and love. How can I teach my children to serve today? There's a big one we miss in a lot of our lives as parents, right? I'm sure you see all kinds of children come through that have no idea, right? But you have that opportunity to teach them. And you do, I'm sure you do. In love, right? That's okay. That's okay. Who can I serve today? Right? When was the last time you asked that question? Who can I serve today? And not just the stuff that's already expected of you, right? We come to church, we know we're going to serve, we know we're going to do these things, we know Noah is going to be back there on media. Well, okay, we didn't know until last minute, but we know somebody's going to be back there. We know that these things, we know someone's going to be there to serve in these places.
Yeah.
But when was the last time you asked, how can I serve today? I don't think about it when I get to church anymore. I know what my checklist is of things I need to take care of, right? And you just V-line to those. You don't even pay attention to the things not on your normal checklist, like cleaning. Just being honest. But those are the things, that's no longer serving at that point. That's just being busy. Going down the checklist, doing it because you know you're supposed to, that's not serving anymore. You missed the heart on it.
Come on.
My toes need to be pulled back a bit on that one. You're missing the heart behind it. You're missing the reason why you do it. And it's not to do it just because you know it needs to be done. It's to do it in the right heart. Who can I serve by praying for them today? Now, we get a lot of requests come through our prayer line that I think all of you are on. It's kind of nice being able to preach to the choir, you know. But that's okay. So, who do you actively seek out to pray for every day? Is there someone you actively seek out? Is it today I'm going to pray for Trey Day? Right? Anybody do that kind of stuff? We should. I mean, that's where I was going with that. Yes, we should. See, my track record's spotty too. It's okay. These are the things we need to correct. These are the things that I've begun to set an alarm. Because, well, I prophesied for way too long over myself about a bad memory. Now I'm fixing it with alarms. So now I have an alarm. It goes off 7 o'clock. Pray for this person. So right when I get to work, it's nice and quiet, nobody else there. I can clack, clack, clack on a keyboard for a second while I'm praying for somebody else.
Amen.
Right? Designate a time to pray for someone. You don't have to know who it is. I have no idea who God's going to drop in my spirit. Hey, pray for this person today. Right? I have no idea. I just know that it's something I need to do. I know that is something I'm called to do.
Amen.
And I know the reason behind it. It's not just checking off the box anymore. It's kind of exciting to see who God's going to have me pray about sometimes. And sometimes it's people I haven't thought about in 15, 20 years. Hey, you remember this person you went to school with? Pray for that person.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Yes, Lord. It's a little weird sometimes, but that's okay. Who can I thank for serving me today? When was the last time you asked? When was the last time you thanked someone for serving you? Does that work? See? Every day? Hey, that's an important thing. People notice when their trash starts to pile up. Right? That's like one of the first things people notice. Get in good with those folks. Talk to them. Thank them. Pray for them. I guarantee if you say, can I have a moment? Can I pray with you for a second? I appreciate what you do. Can I just declare and pray over you for a little while? They're probably not going to say no unless they're really abstinent about it. But that offer is important to people. You can knock out two birds with that one. Right? Who can I pray for today? Who can I serve? Thank for serving, right? Right? See? How can I encourage others to serve today? Do what? Being the example. Yes, that's. I don't know about you guys, but I used to be what's called stubborn. And hence wasn't necessarily something I read through very well. So you had to lay it out really well for me. You still do. Yes, 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 dear. So sometimes you have to be a little bit more blunt about who you're talking to and what you're talking about. Sometimes just being the example isn't enough. We like to think it is, right? People are watching. They know what I'm doing. Some folks have absolutely no clue what you do. I promise there are people you work with that have no idea what it is you do. Right? I know that's the way it is for me. Granted, I fashioned myself that way. I do my best to not be noticed at work. I take care of a bunch of stuff in the background. Nobody knows what I do until nothing works. Then everybody knows what I do. So sometimes being the example just isn't going to cut it. You have to actively go encourage them. Sometimes it's difficult to go encourage someone, especially to try to encourage them to serve someone.
Yeah.
Right? How do you break that nugget? How do you start that conversation? Well, see, there you go. Yeah. Only because you do that. That's part of what you do. Not all kids like to clean up after themselves. I wasn't pointing anybody out. Oh, she rolled away. But yes, making things enjoyable while they serve. It's a great way to encourage someone to serve, whether they realize they're serving in that time frame or not. Yes, ma'am?
I found that like at my new position as a realtor, that person that's helping me this work for the year, I call her. I just do that all the way through the year. She's very busy, but she wants me to take the time to do that. I know she's busy, she's out. She's frustrated, but I always call her. And so I feel like that telling her that is encouraging her.
It is. It helps, yes.
Because she always continues to help me whenever she can. She knows that I really do. And I do genuinely care about her. Even though she's like opposite of me, which I need. But thanking her and appreciating her is encouraging her. Right, Nina?
Some people don't get that affirmation a lot, especially people at work. You're doing your job. You're doing what's expected of you, right? Not everyone hears those those encouragements, those words of affirmation. Thank you for doing what you do. We appreciate what you're doing. Those aren't normal things that are said in a workplace. When was the last time your boss thanked you for doing what you do? Okay, you have an amazing boss. I work for the Pope. The Pope is an amazing boss. He tells me all the time, thank you. I appreciate you. No, he's not Catholic. That would be way too weird. But just like you said, never underestimate those little things. It's all about the little things. Little things are the easiest things to do, the hardest to remember to do. Right? Because we never think about the little things. We always want to make a grand splash. Start with the little things. Focus on the now things, not the to come things. The to come things, God will take care of. The now things is what God's asking you to do. How can I serve today? How can I encourage to serve today? Notice all of those said today in them. How can I help do these things today? Don't worry about tomorrow. God's got that already. Don't worry about yesterday. It's already wiped clean. Focus on today. This Bible saying now faith is. Now is when God is asking you to do things. Not in 10 minutes. Not 20 minutes. Well, for some of us who ignore it, it was 20 minutes ago, but it shouldn't be. But now is when God says, go talk to that person. Go encourage that person. Go give that person a hug. The time we really start to question it, go give that person some money. Many people have been asked that, but said, Lord, I don't carry cash on me anymore. Go find a way. That's what I usually get hit with. But Lord, I don't carry cash on me. I can't do that. It's ATM right over there. Go find out. Go figure it out. Yes, Lord. Right?
Give them your shoes. They don't want to give them money.
And see,
Give them your shoes.
give him your shoes. You start to argue back like that, kind of takes away from it a little bit. And I say that because I do it too. I'm not judging, I promise. Yeah, I'm there. I am there with you, Mary. It's okay.
Now I'm just like, okay. Not that I didn't want to give away my brand new cowboy boots. I did.
It's about being obedient now, being willing to serve and serving. Being willing to serve and not actually serving are two different things. Because you can say you're willing to serve and just say, yeah, I'm willing to serve. Hey, can you go clean the bathroom? Oh, that's beneath me. I'm better than that. Well, then you're not willing to serve anymore. Start this rodeo over again. Right? We get to a place, like the quote says, like that quote said, I have rank. I don't need to do that stuff no more. I have people for that. Well, if God asked you to do it, He asked you to do it for a reason. Probably to help you get over yourself a little bit. And I need those reminders every so often too. We all do. Hey, go help that person take out the trash. Go take out the trash for that person. Well, but there's a person that comes through and does it for us. Just help that person. Yes, Lord. It's to help you get over yourself more than anything. Is that pride we talked about? We all know how God feels about pride. He's not a fan. He's not a fan at all. Why is God not a fan of pride? Why is it that pride is a bad thing? Right? The world tells you take pride in how you look, take pride in what you do, take pride, take pride, take pride.
Pride will block you from hearing the Holy Spirit.
What's that, Mary?
Pride will block you from hearing the Holy Spirit, hearing the things that you need to hear from God.
It will. But why?
Shut like a wall that shuts it off.
If you look up the word pride, it has so many differences and definitions, it's ridiculous. But it all comes down to something more along the lines of thinking you are better than you are. It's my version of it, by the way. That's not in the web. It's not going to be in Merriam-Webster's dictionary. But pride is thinking you are better than you are. And if you think you are better than you are, you're just going to get yourself into trouble.
Yeah.
Right? How many stories have we heard about, what is it? Usually it's right around the mid-20s, where especially guys think we're bulletproof and we're better than we are, and we go do something dumb and we get in trouble for it. That's pride. That's what pride does. And it begins to sneak back up on us. Every time we push it down, every time we kick it, it tries to crawl back up your leg a little bit. Needs a reminder. You just got a mental picture, didn't you? I like it. I approve. Spider's a good one for that. But it'll always try to come back because you fed it once. It's like the bird. It's like the seagulls on the coast. You feed them once, they ain't leaving you alone. Just like that. You fed it once. Once upon a time in your life, you fed it. So it's going to keep coming back. No matter how much you kick it away, it's going to keep coming back. Because it knows there's a place in there that it's going to try to hook. How do we keep kicking it? By serving.
Amen.
It's the easiest, fastest way to do it. By serving. Who are you serving? It doesn't matter. You're serving in love. So it doesn't matter who the physical person is. You're a servant of Christ. You're a servant of God. So serve everyone. What am I doing on time? 7:32. Okay. I knew this wasn't going to take horribly long. That's okay. You judge. That's okay. So, I'm going to ask these questions just one more time. Yes, we all need reminders, right? Repetition is the key.
Yes.
Just like I said earlier, repetition is the key.
So real.
How can I serve my family today? How can I teach my children to serve today? Who can I serve today? Sorry, I almost said how can I serve? Who can I serve by praying for them today? Who can I thank for serving me today? How can I encourage others to serve today? These are the questions I'm going to leave you with today. And if you want them, I can send out the little thing that I got to help them. You want it? Okay. I can send it to you here in a minute. But those are the questions I want you to ask this week. As you go throughout your day, as you begin to get those moments where you're just so busy, take a step back and think, who can I serve today? Who can I serve by praying for them today? How can I teach my children? In your case, you have a plethora of children. How can I teach them how to serve today? And how can I serve my family today? Now, the family one is interesting because you have more than one family, right? Most of my natural family is also my church family, so it kind of works out in my favor. But some of us, our family isn't that close. So you have your natural family, you have your church family, And you have that family, those family members who aren't actually related to you, but are so close that they might as well be, right? We all have at least one or two of those in our families. You thought of Dusty and Patton, didn't you? I don't know the story behind Dusty too much, but Patton is a gentleman I served with in the Army. And whether I wanted to talk to him or not, he's now in my life. And I'm thankful for him at this point. He's an interesting gentleman. And he's my brother from another mother, whether I wanted him or not. But we all have those in our family, right? Those extended families. So remember that you, when it asks that question, how can I serve my family today? More than one family. Don't think about me, my four, and no more. Think about all the others that are connected to it. Think about your classroom. They're all your family, right? You treat them like family. See? What about those you work with? Do you treat them like family? Yeah, see? More family. You just add into the family pool. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I know when you go up to the school, you treat them, most of them, like family. Right. So, if I could get y'all to please stand. Y'all excited to serve? Y'all looking forward to it? Y'all understand what it means? Starting to? Okay. Get with me after service. I'll send you the thing. But Lord, we know we are your servants, and we thank you that you take time to show us, to help us, to guide us, and how to serve, and who to serve, and when and where to serve. All the things, all the W's. And we get to take those moments, and we get to step out of our busyness and go and serve. And help us not forget about those who serve us. Help us to acknowledge them, thank them, appreciate them for what it is they're doing, whether they enjoy doing it or not. We can be that person that improves their day. And we thank you that as we go throughout this week, you're going to guide us. You're going to guide us in serving. You're going to instill in our hearts that heart of servant, the heart of a servant. And you're going to take it from what it is we think serving is into an excellence of serving. From a mundane ho-hum serving to an excitement, to a merry excitement on how to do these things. And we thank you that we get these opportunities, that you place these people into our lives so that we can, one, kick down that spider of pride, and two, share your love with them as we serve them. In Jesus' name, amen.